So when you come to a dead end, and we are individually and socially now in 1971 at a dead end, this is the moment of which it is said man's extremity is God's opportunity.
Alan Watts had this extraordinary talent to make himself feel approachable to anyone, almost like an old friend you could chat with over a cup of coffee. Watts often emphasized the idea that everything in the universe is interconnected and that we are not separate from the world around us. According to Watts, Zen was about that idea, being fully present, seeing the interconnectedness in everything. He saw Zen not as a complex, esoteric religion, but as a simple yet profound way of experiencing life. His take on Zen wasn't dry or academic. It was vibrant and full of life, speaking directly to the heart and soul of anyone who listened. He loved to delve into Zen's paradoxes, those mind-bending concepts that can make you scratch your head in confusion. Take Wu Wei, for example. This idea of effortless action or non-doing might sound like a contradiction, but Watts had a knack for explaining it in a way that just clicked.
For as Shakespeare knew perfectly well, there is a tide in the affairs of men which, taken at its flood, leads on to fortune. And so Wu Wei is based on knowledge of the tide, the drift of things. Get with it. Wu Wei is the art of sailing rather than the art of rowing.
Alan Watts was a bit of a cultural translator, a bridge between the mysticism of the East and the rationalism of the West. He grew up in a Christian environment, but fell in love with Eastern philosophies. This unique blend in his background allowed him to translate the essence of Zen in a way that felt relatable to those of us in the West. He often used modern analogies, making Zen concepts feel like they were part of everyday life. He often employed contemporary analogies to demystify Zen concepts, making them more tangible for his Western audience. For instance, in The Joyous Cosmology, Watts explores human consciousness and perception through the lens of Zen, drawing parallels with psychedelic experiences. Alan Watts's views on psychedelics were influenced by his time and cultural context in the 1960s, a period when interest in psychedelics and altered states of consciousness was growing.
LSD is not a narcotic, psilocybin is not a narcotic from the mushroom, and cannabis is not a narcotic, because these substances tend to do something very different from producing sleep. They tend instead to produce a peculiar kind of wakefulness, a sharpening rather than a dimming of consciousness.
But he was cautious about portraying psychedelics as a remedy for all of life's problems. He recognized that while they could offer valuable insights, they were not a substitute for ongoing spiritual practice, self-exploration, or personal growth. Watts often spoke about the Western people's obsession with time, the constant preoccupation with past memories and future anticipations. In a world increasingly looking for meaning beyond material success and scientific rationalism, Watts's interpretation of Zen offers a refreshing perspective. Watts expressed concerns about the potential for technology, particularly in the form of electronic devices, to isolate individuals despite their apparent connectivity. He warned against the illusion of meaningful connection through screens and highlighted the importance of genuine human interaction. He relentlessly critiqued the pursuit of technological advancements and material success, often referred to as the rat race. He encouraged individuals to pause and question whether such pursuits truly lead to fulfillment, or if they merely perpetuate a cycle of dissatisfaction.
Where we have the huge electronic intercommunication, so that everybody is in touch with everybody else in such a way that it reveals their inmost thoughts, and there is no longer any individuality, no privacy. Everything you are, everything you think is revealed to everyone.
Watts' teachings on transcending dualistic thinking can be applied to how we perceive technology. Instead of viewing technology as inherently good or bad, He suggested a more nuanced perspective that considers its impact on our lives and its potential for both positive and negative outcomes. Watts's teachings encourage a kind of radical honesty with oneself, an acceptance of the complexities and contradictions inherent in human life. While Watts's interpretations of Zen have been immensely popular, they have faced their fair share of criticism. Some traditionalists argue that he oversimplified complex ideas and deviated from orthodox teachings. A suitable contrast can be found in the work of Immanuel Kant, the 18th century German philosopher. Unlike Watts, who emphasized the importance of direct, personal experience and intuitive understanding, Kant placed a high value on rational thought and deductive reasoning. For Kant, the structure of our mind shapes our experience of reality, making rational thought paramount in understanding the world. In ethics, Kant is known for his categorical imperative, a principle that suggests an action is only morally right if it can be universally applied. In his world, morality is like a blueprint with specific guidelines that apply to everyone, no matter who they are or where they're from. This is what he means by his categorical imperative, a set of moral laws that are universal and absolute, like a straight, unwavering line. In simple terms, it's like he's saying, if everyone can't do it, neither should you. His approach is methodical, logical, and leaves little room for bending the rules. It's about doing what's right, not what feels right in the moment. This is kind of an antithesis to Watt, but there was one who shared the perspective of Alan Watts and spoke highly of him.
Remember, Alan Watts once asked me, Joe, what is your yoga? I said, my yoga is underlining sentences.
Joseph Campbell was a renowned mythologist known for his work in comparative mythology. Joseph, much like Watts, believed in the power of myth and narrative in understanding human life. He saw myths as fundamental to human experience, transcending cultural and historical boundaries. This perspective aligns closely with Watts's view of Zen. Joseph Campbell spoke highly of Alan Watts and his ability to articulate Eastern concepts to a Western audience. Campbell recognized the importance of Watts's work in breaking down the barriers between Eastern and Western thought. He appreciated Watts's skill in translating complex philosophical ideas into accessible, engaging narratives. Campbell's own work, which often explored the themes of transformation, the hero's journey, and the shared features of global myths, resonated with Watts's emphasis on personal experience and the interconnectedness of all life. Both men shared a belief in the transformative power of understanding one's place in the world, a theme central to Zen Buddhism. In Watts's classroom, there are no sharp lines or rigid structures, but rather a canvas where life paints itself in various hues and patterns. Ethics, in his view, is more organic, something that you feel and experience rather than deduce. It's about being in tune with the environment and the moment, responding with actions that feel right in that context. For Watts, morality isn't about rigid laws, it's about harmony, balance, and moving with the natural rhythm of life. So following Kant might lead you to think deeply about the rules and principles before acting, ensuring your actions can be universally applied. But with Watts, you might instead focus on being present, intuitive, and responding naturally to what each moment requires. This experience is the essence of Zen, as revealed through the insightful eyes of Alan Watts. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to The Sage for more.